At LinkedIn, we know hiring is a big deal for your small business. Sometimes it can feel a little overwhelming. LinkedIn uses data that you can't find anywhere else to give you the best candidates, all so you can feel confident you're hiring the best person for the job. And even a little hiring bliss. See why 86% of small businesses who post a job on LinkedIn get a qualified candidate within a day. Post a job for free at linkedin.com/achieve. LinkedIn, your next great hire is here.
This episode is brought to you by Nerds Gummy Clusters, the sweet treat that always elevates the vibe. With a sweet gummy surrounded with tangy, crunchy nerds, every bite of Nerds Gummy Clusters brings you a whole new world of flavor. Whether it's game night, on the way to a concert, or kicking back with your crew, unleash your senses with Nerds Gummy Clusters.
Hello, fellow gamers, and welcome to the Video Gamers Podcast. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is taking the world by storm, and it's the hottest release so far in 2025. Highly anticipated with a fantastic reception, we've been playing it, but we aren't quite ready for the deep dive yet. What we do have is something incredible for you. We had the opportunity, nay, the joy of interviewing one of the game designers from Warhorse Studios who played a large role in the making of the game. This is an incredible interview, and we are so excited to share it with you. But first, some introductions are in order. I am your host, Josh, and joining me, you'll find him sleeping in strangers' beds, stealing horses, and failing miserably at brewing potions. It's Ryan.
I was gonna say, I was so annoyed today because I'm like falling asleep and I'm like, this is just like real life. Is this real life sim? And I'm just falling asleep as I walk through and I'm like, oh, there's a bed. It looks like, nobody's around. And then next thing I know, I wake up and everybody's trying to kill me
they're
again.
Ticked at you too.
Every town I go to, everybody just wants to kill me.
Yeah, they get really mad if you're sleeping in their bed. I mean, rightfully so. If you found somebody sleeping in your bed, you probably would have...
Man, I was tired, bro. I was just tired.
Dude, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, we have been playing it. There is so much to talk about in this game. I mean, our entire community is talking about it. The internet's talking about it. I mean, this is one of the biggest releases that has come out in a while. And we have been playing it almost every day, but it's a monster of a game, and we are not ready to do the deep dive just yet. So we're going to keep playing. But dude, we had such an insanely cool opportunity to actually talk to one of the game designers and kind of get the inside scoop on the development of the game, what it's like to release a game like this to the world, and the anticipation and nervousness, a behind the curtain look at game development. I mean, what an awesome time this was, Ryan. I mean, I don't like, what more can you say about this, dude?
It was awesome. You definitely want to stay tuned and listen to the whole thing. Not only did we get kind of that behind the curtain, this guy was just totally awesome. Gave us some really kind of cool details about game development, what goes into it, what his opinions are, So it was something that you're not going to hear from a lot of places. So it was definitely an interesting thing.
Yeah, and we made a new friend. I mean, we're practically best friends now too.
Basically,
that's how awesome this was.
What? Did we just become best friends?
Yup.
Do you want to go do karate in the garage?
Yup.
So listen, we're going to get to that interview in just a minute. But Ryan, it's been a while. We've been so busy. We haven't done any housekeeping in a while. And so I know people are excited to get to the interview. So we're going to make this quick, but we have to give some shout outs. The first one we want to give is to a new epic supporter, Norwegian Greaser. Thank you so much. Also, we're expanding our global presence, Ryan. This is a good bit of people that are over the pond from us now.
Dude, us little Americans over here, we just can't even fathom that, man.
Yeah, I love this community because it's like right as we're going to bed, they're all waking up and starting to chat and stuff like that.
I love it,
dude.
You see them over there, and you see it's like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock here, AZ time, and you just see morning. Normally it was back in the day, it was Mobox at 3 a.m. Mobot, we like to call him, and then now it's just we got all these people. It's the Discord's active like 24/7 now.
I love it. I absolutely love it. So thank you, Norwegian Greaser, for signing up with epic support. And then we had a new rare supporter. Now, I've known this guy for a while. I absolutely love this dude. And that is a supporter by the name of Noggin.
Yeah.
Noggin has been playing Rivals with us. One of the best Hulk players I have seen in Rivals. Honestly, ever. Like, maybe it's just, we're not at that high level, but Noggin is just a clutch Hulk, man. An honestly amazing guy. So thank you, Noggin, for supporting the show as well. We appreciate it, and we appreciate you also. And then Ryan, I think we've got something else.
I think we do. Something that is absolutely amazing that we love to see and receive, and we've been getting a ton of them. And that's another review.
Ooh,
yeah.
Well, you know what, Ryan? Let's mix it up, man. This is a special episode. We've got an awesome dev interview that's about to go down. Why don't you take this one, buddy?
Okay, well, I don't mind if I do. So this one is from Butch 987654321. Kaboom! No, the kaboom's not in there. Just the rest of the
You got to
numbers,
read them verbatim, Ryan.
I
That's
couldn't
the deal.
help. All right, fine.
All right.
This one's titled Best Video Game Podcast Ever. 5-star review. The podcast is incredible. As a gamer dad of similar age, I can relate to Josh and Ryan on so many levels. They bring plenty of nostalgia, but also review new games and trends, always keeping the podcast interesting. Great work, guys. Also, Josh is way older than myself or Ryan.
What?
And
Ryan, you failed already.
What?
That's not what the review says.
Oh, okay. All right. Maybe I added the last
You're
part.
off reviews, buddy. You can't just ad-lib that stuff, man.
My bad.
Oh, my goodness. You joker. That's it. You're off. You're off reviews.
Fine. I couldn't help it.
But seriously, thank you, Butch. 987-654-321. You are awesome for taking the time to leave a review. If you have not left us a review yet, please take the time to do so. It helps the show immensely. It helps other gamers find this podcast. And it just lets us know how we're doing. Like, honestly, the feedback, we love it. We love seeing it. It makes our days. We check them every day. So thank you for leaving those reviews. And if you haven't, what are you waiting for? Ryan, I don't know if I can wait any longer, buddy. I think it's time to get to this interview, dude. This thing is amazing. I really hope that the listeners enjoy this. And
DJ, run that tape.
Hit it. We are insanely excited to be chatting with Andre from Warhorse Studios. Andre is a game designer for the studio, and I'm sure is feeling all sorts of crazy emotions right now after launching one of the most anticipated games of 2025, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Andre, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to talk with us. With the release of a highly anticipated game like Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, there has to be this sort of like massive anticipation and nervousness that happens right around the release of a game. And I gotta ask, man, what is that like? Like, is it exciting? Are the nerves through the roof? Like, try to give us a little bit of insight onto actually just putting your game out to the world.
Well, okay. So first of all, hi, thank you for having me here. It's a great pleasure. So basically it's a bit different for me because, in the design department, all the work kind of stops 6 months before the release, which I think is even worse because you have this, like, the train has left the station and now everything I spot and I want to correct, I can do it, but it's going to be in like patch, 1.2, 1.3. Which, we will definitely have patches. But so it's, kind of frustrating. And also it's crazy because you work on this for 6 years and then all the attention is sort of like boiled down to 2 weeks. Yeah. So your mom starts, sending you links to local media. And then you go to the pick up like a box for, like a delivery service. And on the display, it's like logo of Kingdom Come, and then it says like I went to Subway and there was like Kingdom Come on the like big format ads, and I was like, holy family friendly podcast. Holy
I love
cow.
it.
Holy moly, or whatever you're saying. This is like massive, and it's all in this 2 weeks, and you're like sort of feel almost like invaded.
Yeah.
Like it's like I've been working on this for 6 years, and now it's like here, and then it'll be gone, and then no one. I mean, like people still play the game, but all the attention will, quite quickly shift to something else because there's always something around the corner.
Right.
So it's been a big mix of emotions, but despite it all, we think we were relieved. The scores are great. The number of concurrent players were just 49. We broke the top 50 most concurrent players on Steam ever, with 250,000 people playing it over the weekend. We sold 1 million copies in one day. So it's all
That's awesome, man.
Now, did you at Subway? Did you try to flex and get free food? Like, do you know who I am? Point at the banner.
He meant the Subway, not at the restaurant, Ryan.
Oh,
like the actual train Subway.
I've once got a discount for a pair of Adidas shoes because I wore Kingdom Come hoodie, and someone was like, I left that game, and I was like, I did that game.
There you go.
And so I got a discount of about like $15, and
Hey.
Oh, that's awesome.
There you
Everything
go.
counts.
free $15, but apart from that, I got no free food.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's it's where my brain's always at. It's morning
I know.
time, so I'm hungry.
That's awesome. So as a game designer, you kind of brought up a good point that you guys, like you said, that last 6 months, I mean, it's go time for 6 years basically, but then the time kind of leading up to close to the release, you kind of just get to breathe a little bit, right?
Well, I mean, hold your breath would be better.
Yeah.
In 6 months. Because, we still do things. Like, we fix, very critical bugs.
Sure.
But once you see, like, oh my God, this is, like, not good. Like, something more substantial or something like some deep-rooted issue, it is a very hard fight with the producers to actually fix that. And so you basically have to pick your fights. Like,
Right.
we have this, like, limited political capital design money, and we have to spend them on the things we really, really, because otherwise we would be fixing everything all the time, and we would completely break the game, which unfortunately didn't happen this time, because they were like very, very strict about that. But you still doing things, but you have to pick your battles, and you have to be like, there's a lot of extra steps to go through to fix things. Otherwise, it would otherwise take 1 day to fix before that, and now you have to spend a week sort of like, getting the QA to test it, whether it really, really, fixed the bug, or if it didn't add no new bugs, which is usually the case. Like, you fix one thing and 3 other things break. And also if it involves localization, we have to like localize to 16 languages and all that.
Ooh.
And obviously, if it contains voiceover things, that's over. That's done. If someone tells you I can't like go south, and someone moved the thing east, it's gone. Like, you can't really fix that.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
That's an interesting point, that some things are just locked in because of the work that's done previously.
Yeah.
So Andre, I want to talk, because I mean, we have been playing the heck out of this game. We have a large community. Our listeners, everybody has been raving. I mean, raving about this game. So there is a hype level. I mean, for us as gamers, and I'm sure for you guys as well. So I kind of want to ask a couple questions about just the release of the game.
Okay.
And I mean, you guys are in a great spot because this has been very, very positive. I mean, every gamer that we talk to on social media, people are posting screenshots and they're praising the game. What is that like? Like, when you release a game and you start to see the reviews roll in, and you see, the Metacritic scores, and the critics are, reviewing it, but then you have the gamers, and like, do you guys dive into the reviews? I mean, you know, we're a podcast. People leave us reviews, and it's like every time a new review pops up, we read it and we go, "Oh, that was great." Or if somebody's like, "Hey, we don't love it," you kind of go like, "Oh, that hurts, man." So, what is that like to kind of see the reception to the game?
So last time, 6 years ago, when we did KCD1, I just stopped for a week and I watched streams nonstop. My wife would just bring me pizza or
Good wife.
Nice.
she's in the game, by the way. She's Bianca in the first game. So
Wow.
okay, so
That's cool.
and she, you know, did some other stuff for us. So she's very involved with the Warhorse. Warhorse is actually very, you know, like a large family type of thing. Like a lot of partners and people we know each other, so it's cool. But cool wife, great point. I'll tell her later.
Yes.
So I was just nonstop watching streams. I tried to do this, this time as well, but since then we kind of got 2 kids, and that gets in the way a lot.
Just a little bit. Yep.
Yeah, just LLA. There and there, you have to.
We're both dads.
Yeah.
We get it.
Mobile phones kind of help, so it's okay. So I still watch streams, but this time, and this is amazing. Last time I was worried, like every time. Sorry, there's because I'm on my phone. There's notifications. Last time I was worried, like every time someone loads a save or opens a door or goes to combat, I was like praying that it doesn't break. This time I'm enjoying it far more. I can like enjoy it, like watching that, not being like anxious all the time. And then obviously we read the reviews. We try to respond. I sometimes respond to social media, to like the sane posts, like to give detail or something. Like I don't indulge in like all that stuff. But so I try to interact as much as I can. I read Reddit. Today I was kind of bummed out because I found out that a lot of people have a trouble with my mission in a game because maybe we made it too hard. It's the castle mission when you're like locked in.
I haven't made it there yet, but now I'm really interested in this.
No spoilers.
Yep.
I haven't mentioned which castle it is, so there's multiple games, so it's fine. So, I'm kind of like, oh yeah, but now I have this like thing I can be like, okay, I need to fix this in the next patch somehow. So we try to like tackle all the. Obviously, we have the external QA and all that stuff, but as designers, we try to like. What is because I can't do anything with your game crashing on NVIDIA card, whatever. Right. But I can be like, okay, in this mission or in this quest, there's this like really frustrating thing. And sometimes, people from production, they're like, oh, you can still finish the game. And I'm like, yeah, but if the people turn off the game because they're frustrated, that counts almost as a crash. It's even worse than a crash.
Yeah.
Actually. So that's really, really bad, especially in the first 2 hours because of refunds, right? But no, don't take me seriously on this one. I'm not here about the money. I'm totally not about the money. So we try to identify these and be like, hey, we need to fix this. So we definitely try to read everything. We kind of have this like, oh, I'm watching this streamer, you're watching this streamer, so we can watch like different people and in different languages. So we kind of cover it, and we as designers have to do this because certain other like people from QA sometimes might not pick up on the sort of like big picture thing that we're trying to see, like whether the balance of the economy is good, whether the feeling of this is right, maybe music in this scene is off, so it's a little bit weird. So we're trying to like fix all these things, and there's still plenty.
It's a big game.
That's
I think I'm 20 some odd hours in, and I feel like I've just scratched the surface so far. And
there's probably a lot more to do. I just think what a luxury you guys have now, though, as designers, to have the ability to do those patches. Like I couldn't imagine the stress back, in the 90s and 80s and stuff like that. There's no patches. You just had the game that came out.
I can't I don't understand how they do that. I'm like, I remember times before the internet
Yeah.
Yeah.
before
Yep.
this widespread thing. I remember there in the magazines there was like these like guides and things for, if you get stuck here, stuff that you look up in like 10 seconds, this then age you
Yeah.
get to YouTube and you watched it, which kind of adds something but also removes, like, you have way less like patience with
Yes.
certain
Yep.
things. Like, you just like, and then you feel like, you feel like you need to take a shower because you basically cheated on yourself.
Yeah, people love just Googling the answer to something right away instead of figuring it out. And it's like, dude, we spent so much time on this and you're just Googling the answer.
And we try to like teach them a little bit, like bring it a little bit back, bring back a little bit, like you play the game, the guy on walkthrough who wrote, he doesn't play the game, you play the game. So I can't imagine how frustrating it was. Also, I kind of don't understand, people kind of, some people are bugged about first day patches, and I'm like, that's like 6 more months of fixes usually,
right?
Especially if you get like console certification, that takes time. So I mean, it's like 40 gigs again or 60 gigs but it's just that's what it is. Like, that's 6 months of work is in that patch.
That's interesting to hear. That's so cool. It's like a peek behind the curtain of that. There's still so much development and fixing. Even when you guys are done, then there's still so much more to do.
Especially on a like big open world game, I can give you a broken game, or I can give you a less broken game, but you have to like download 60 gigs, which usually
gamers are whiny, man.
You do it anyway. So I mean,
One more question about the release here, Andre, and then I'd love to know a little bit more about what you do on this, but I don't want any, specific games or anything like that mentioned. But when you get close to the time to release a game, I have to think like a studio probably has a good idea whether their game is really good or not. like we've seen some games release and then they come out and they're just terrible. And that's just the nature of some games. And so it's like, did you know that this game was awesome? Was there a fear that it's like, oh man, we don't know how people are going to like this? Like, I just guess that you guys were like, dude, this game's awesome.
Well, like, first of all, you don't want to offend the gods. So you go like very humbly. Like, never think that you get the victory in your pocket, because that's just karma is a family friendly podcast.
No, that's okay.
Karma is an evil old lady. But we knew that the game is way less buggy than the first one, so that made us kind of happy. We didn't know whether people will buy into it, because the concept is still very niche. I think the games you're referring to, they know they're gonna catch a lot of flack for doing the same thing all over again, or releasing it unpolished, unfixed, or uninspiring, or whatever. But they know that their brand is so strong that they can carry into the next thing they're gonna do.
Interesting.
Because I think that mainstream gaming has been started to be absolutely like repetitive. I think you can all agree that you can only play as many. Well, I don't want to mention. I don't want to.
I mean, you can. I just didn't want to put you on the spot. Like we talk about games all the time.
You don't need a 150 hour-long Assassin's Creed every year. I really don't.
Yes.
And it's. I always say that this is a bit of a different thing, but I always say that it doesn't really matter how long it is. It matters if your sessions differ. So I hope that if people play Kingdom Come, they're like, oh, yesterday I brewed potions, and then I went there and I met bandits, and the next day I got drunk and they stole my shoes, and then I met a pilgrim and whatever, and they have a different stories for every gameplay session. They can name, if you could name that session, put a name on it, you would be able to. I
I
don't
love that
think
thinking.
with a lot of open world games today, you can't do that. Like all of your sessions, like you get better, you progress your stats, but all of these sessions would be average session number 1, 2, 3, 4. Like
Right.
no
They're
different
bland.
narrative.
Yeah.
They're very like similar. Although they're crafted really like with the animations and voice, everything's crafted to perfection, and they can, but it has no, I guess, soul is the word.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I love that. I
So-
know exactly what you're talking about.
And we
So
can
what
feel
we're-
that. We can tell.
Yeah, yeah. So what we're aiming at is a game with a lot of soul, but also it's very different in so many areas. So we didn't know whether people will buy into it, because this thing has been so strong that some people are like unable to escape the sort of clutches of minimaps and markers and fetch quests, and they sort of do it for like, all the instant gratification, basically all the mechanics that tell you, oh, you're so good because you click the button, are like, they work. That's why they do it. It's dopamine based
Mhm.
Yep.
science, basically. But there's a point where you kind of, reveal tear down the veil, and you're like, oh, I really haven't, done anything very substantial. So, but this is a hard, like, thing to take people from that type of thinking to the type of thinking, like in Kingdom Come, you all played, I guess, through the intro, and you start,
yeah.
you have nothing. You have nowhere to sleep. You have nothing to eat. You have some very, very raggedy beggar clothing.
Yep.
You don't really know what to do. We put the character there, the beggar, the girl.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Uh-huh.
It wasn't there. We put it there when the telemetry, data went back, and people were like, oh, I kind of didn't know what to do. So we put her there, and we were like, oh, maybe it's too much. And then I watched the streams, and people ask her all the questions, and they got all the answers, and then they like turn around and they're like, okay, so what now? So so actually the level of how people stopped, taking agency in their own gaming is like, I guess, I don't think it's good, and we're trying to do the opposite way, but it's hard to take people from that thinking to like, oh, you really
That
have
makes
to
sense.
think for yourself. So we didn't know whether it's going to be receptive like this. Like, we weren't sure at all.
Yeah. Every time you try something different or new or unique, there's always that hesitance on, is this going to land or is it going to be rejected? But I can
Be
say
also a double pop, like,
it's been great so far.
Yeah.
that's good. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really has been great so far. We'll talk a little bit about people are kind of comparing this to like games like Witcher 3, which is, I mean, that's about as high of a praise as you can get, in our opinion. And so we're seeing some very, very positive response to it. And I know as gamers, we've been gaming our whole lives. I mean, we're older guys, and we've been gaming, and it's like, this game's something special, man. It really is. Like, I am absolutely enthralled with it. I love playing it. It's really cool to see like the passion that you guys have for it also. So Andre, I want to ask you, because, it's not every day that we get to talk to a game designer. And you've talked about a little bit about what you do on that. And I think as gamers, we kind of go, oh man, there's all these roles or these jobs in gaming that just sound incredible. You mentioned voice actors earlier. Every gamer's like, oh, I'd love to be a voice actor. And it's like, oh, if I could be a game designer, and stuff like that. So it's like, give us a little bit of a peek. We all think you have a pretty awesome job. But we also know that no job comes without, yeah, exactly. It's work. So what are some of the challenges? Like, what are, like, obviously there's good points or you wouldn't be doing what you're doing, but what are some of the challenges that you face as well as a game designer?
I think that, we already kind of bumped into it previously with the question about like what we feel before the release.
Yeah.
It takes time to build games. And so you spend And there's really not a lot of like milestones where it could be like, oh, we did this or we did that. It sort of like collapses on the last moment into the game. And 90% of the time, the game looks like this can't, you can't really sell this to people. This is garbage. Nothing works. It's glitchy, buggy. It's like, so this is like a hard thing for people who love to complete tasks.
Right.
It's never complete. It's never done. Even
That'd be
now,
tough.
it's still not.
Yeah.
It's like there's going to be DLCs, and we have all these fixes, and then next year we're going to be like, oh yeah, that's it for Kingdom Come 2, and there's going to be still 10,000 tickets in the system with things we wanted to do or ideas we didn't really, put in the game. So this is hard. And the other thing is, you really work on something you're really passionate about, which is a great thing, but it's also kind of curse because you really care about it. You can't just be like, oh, well, also they'll pay me anyway, and I can be like, oh, whatever. In my previous job, I did like QA on like an email server. No one really cared about that. Like you could,
Right.
Oh, sorry.
You're fine.
You could totally, release a hot mess, and people would be like, oh yeah, okay. We don't really. You did a new version, so a lot of people are invested in it. The developers, the fans are invested, so it's very like tense. And so these are, and also you start to like see games through the lens of a game designer, which is like the biggest curse. Like if you love playing games, making games teaches you. Like it's hard to enjoy a certain type of game. So
That makes sense.
So you start to play all these like quirky indie games because they offer some new mechanics and stuff. Like the AAA big budget things, they so excite you because partly you see all behind that, you don't want to be reminded of that.
Yeah.
Partly you see mistakes, or you're like thinking, how did they do this? And so it's really strange, So this is how it is.
It's funny because I think a lot of people, like even for us, again, we do this podcast, but sometimes, we play a lot of games for the podcast, and it can absolutely make it feel like work sometimes, where it's like, here's this thing that we love to do. I mean, we've been gaming our whole lives, but we have to play this game. Now, luckily for Kingdom Come 2, it's a joy to play, but not every game is like that, And so it's like, oh, I got to play this game again for a little while. And so I think people don't think about the negatives that come with a job. Like any job is still work, in that regard. And it comes with things that are difficult. All right. So since we have you, and again, it's not every day we get to talk to a game designer, I have a question that every gamer in the world wants to know.
Okay.
And that is, we joke as gamers about certain quests. So for instance, fetch quests, escort quests, water levels in games, right?
Levels.
Like, nobody likes water levels, man. And people don't like escort quests. So, and I'm not saying you guys do this, but why is it that if gamers don't like a certain type of quest structure, that developers still put those in their games?
I think that what you described, like especially fetch quests and escort quests, are there's these patterns that are kind of easy to grasp for gamers. Like they might not like it, but for you as a game developer, there's still a lot of value in a gamer easily understanding what they should do. Because that's not an easy task, to tell people where they should go, how they should do it. Like people joke about the bird droppings on, ledges or yellow doors.
Paint, right? Yeah.
Yellow paint things. And that's there because of a reason. Like, because you can't really have a environmentally rich level while actually not telling people what to interact with and whatnot. Like if you play Zelda, you can climb on every mountain, right? It's great.
Right.
All these mountains are just one polygon faces with a texture. So you really like, there's no detail. If there was a detail, it wouldn't work like that ever. And that's why you have the runes in God of War and all this. So all these things are there so gamers can more easily understand what they should be doing in a world where you are limited. Like, you don't know the limits. It's called affordances. It's like, can I jump over this gap?
Okay.
So if I make the gap really wide, I know I can't. But if I make it like, these frustrating things, like it seems like I can almost jump there, but I can't. That's bad level design, basically. That's bad. The affordances are not met. And something similar goes to like quests, like the narratives, like bring me this, or find me person XY. That's in every story, Witcher 3, find Ciri. It's super simple. There's no complicated narrative, but it's very understandable. And also, you come and go during quests. Like you go to do something else. You end your session and then you reload. You don't have this with movies or TVs or something. People usually finish the episode, finish the movie. So you can't really afford to have like very complicated narratives. However, you can mask it a little better than a lot of these games are doing that. Like, they don't really care. Usually it's through the world and the characters. Like in Kingdom Come, if someone wants something for you to bring them, it's usually, it has a reason, it ties into their story. There's a reason for you being the person who can bring this. It's not like, I'm a hunter and I want 5 wolf belts. Get them yourself, you're a hunter, for Christ's sake. Like, so this is the bad part, I think. Fetch quests are fine, but their setting is usually so lazy, spirit uninspiring, that it sort of comes out as like, it's a fetch quest. As escort quests have a different, like, the NPC moving on their own.
I know that's the challenge with those.
Other levels, I guess, are just for like a change of pace. Like in some games, you like the, like in Max Payne, like you get, dragged, and then there's this like line, you go on the lines, and then there's like, I don't know if you have played the original Max Payne, but there's like a level where you just walk in the dark, and that's it. And it's like, everyone hated it, but everyone remembers that. That's such an iconic scene that everyone like, original Max Payne, the one where you just get, high on something and then you walk through dark level trying to find an exit. So these are for change of pace, but I think all of these are not bad on their own. The concepts are not bad, but the execution is...
I will say, this is not a spoiler, but I am currently on the quest to go see the hermit in to get the sword from the hermit. And it's like, I mean, theoretically that's a fetch quest, but I know already that this is setting up so much more. I don't know what's to come because I haven't actually, I just started it, but I think this is where you guys really excel, because you talked about that. Can you remember your play session, right? Like, I played yesterday and I remember what happened yesterday. And, everybody in our community is talking about this game. And it's like, somebody's, again, I don't want to get into spoilers, so I'll be a little bit vague, but somebody got into where 2 different sides are kind of facing off over a pasture. I know. And his outcome was very different than my outcome. And we talked about that, and that gave us that cool thing to kind of talk about. And I think this is where you guys have done a masterful job on this, is that even though there may be fetch quests, those quests are only a narrative to tell a bigger story at that point.
Then it doesn't feel like a fetch quest. It feels like you're just still playing the game. Even, when you read a book and then you have to like, wait, what was that? And you have to go back to the previous page like the next day. This you don't. Like, if you do it and design it right like you guys have, having that ability to just instantly pick back up even a few days later, knowing where to go and what you have to do, because you're excited to continue the story that you're a part of. There's something big there. It's awesome.
You made an excellent point with the choices and consequences. I don't know if you remember this, but there was a time in gaming when CNC, choices and consequences, it was like a marketing buzzword.
Oh, yeah.
And people with money loved it because it means replayability, right? Like, sure, I'm going to play whole Mass Effect free to get a different colored ending. Smart, right? It doesn't work like that, but it does work in a in like a different way, that if you share the experience, like you can see there was an actual choice there.
Right.
Like you can feel
Yeah.
it. So I think these games are way better now when you have like Reddits and YouTubes, because people can like pick up on, oh my God, I had a completely different experience. So I now know there was a true choice, or there was like a true branching. That it wasn't this thing that was made there to make me replay the game, which with single player games, I will probably never ever like, I don't know how many people replay 100-hour single player. Like hardcore fans do, but most people just don't. Even if there are multiple endings, they just put them on YouTube and they're like, oh yeah, I could do this, I could do that. So I think it's great. And that's something we try to do as well, is like the sort of rabbit hole of adventures. Like you go on a simple fetch quest, and then the narrative is in like, oh, now I can't have the thing because, or I can't find the thing because, or I had the thing and I don't have it now because. Like you can like expand, but that all means more scripting, because the fetch quests you mentioned are pretty simple. Like you go there, the game, you have 5 rabbit pelts, ding, objective, go back. Everything's super simple. You can't really get lost. But with our quests, it's kind of hard to, sometimes even we like struggle a lot with like how to tell the player what to do. Detective quests, that's like super like complicated, like how to tell them what to do without actually revealing the answer. And it gets messy. And so you have to be more, I guess, attuned to be like, I really don't need the journal or the objectives. I need to like think of for my own. So
that discovery though is such a good thing. Like honestly, the sense of discovery and just coming across something in a game is something that a lot of games don't do. We talk about the dumbing down of games, and even with the choice, right? Like now we're getting the illusion of choice, where a game might make it look like you are making a choice, but you're really not. The game's going to continue on no matter what. And it's like, as gamers, we get frustrated with that. Like, we're not dumb. We understand. And so I think that's why it's so refreshing to play a game like Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, where it's like my choices actually do matter. I can see that my buddy made a different choice and the outcome was completely different for him. And that lets us talk about it and kind of get hyped up over it too. So
it doesn't
I love it.
Yeah, and it doesn't really matter that a lot of stories have one ending, like all the main quest is like just main ending. There's like a teeny tiny like decisions there and there, but the journey is different, and that's like kind of important. So you all see the same cutscene, but you get there a different way. So and the discovery, we always say that if you have to, if there's a marker, it doesn't really feel like you explore. Like if I have a magical radar, and also if something is always there, something is always around the corner, then I kind of get to this like rhythm of like, oh, I discovered that. So it's a fine tuning of like how many things you can, because you want to cram as many things as you can in the map, but you don't want to overdo it, because if you overdo it, you're in the Disney World sort of go, and everywhere something is overwhelming. The map looks ridiculous. It doesn't have the feeling of like I'm there. You're playing a game. So this is a fine edge, and I don't even know how we did that. Like I don't know what was the formula. I want to know it because I want to repeat it, but I'm not sure like what we did and how we did it. It kind of feels there's like interesting stuff, but there's not too many things, I guess.
Yeah. No, I think you guys did an incredible job. Like, honestly, I know Ryan feels the same way. We're kind of letting the cat out of the bag a little bit, because generally when we're covering a game, we don't spoil our thoughts on a game for people until we do like our review episode. But I'm just going to say it, man. This game's freaking great.
Yeah, we usually don't have developers on from the game as well. So yeah, we got to smooth them up
we're just gonna say it up front. All right, so we are running out of time, Andre, and I want to just respect your time as well on this.
It's fine. Like, I mean, you guys are really like cool about it, so it's great. So.
Awesome. Well, we love hearing that too, man. So one other question, because I think this is a burning question in a lot of gamers' minds, especially for game designers or just studios in general. And you touched on this. I mean, you worked on this game for 6 years, day in, day out. You get to the point where the game is releasing. it maybe not you specifically, but just in general, or you specifically, do you guys actually like go back and play the game after it's released to kind of see what it's like from start to finish?
No.
I would assume no, but
I don't.
Andre's shaking his head. He's like, nope.
No, I mean, this really differs. If I have made a multiplayer game, some cool mechanics,
Okay. Yeah.
I would probably do that, because if I've done some board gaming stuff, I play those board games. But with a story game that's about exploration, that's really like, why would I do that? Like, I know I only torture myself because I see all the things that are wrong. Like,
Right.
obviously, I play the game. You have to play the game. I will play the DLCs and all that. But if I go home and I sit down, I don't play my game.
Yeah.
Is it more like you're analyzing it at that point
Yeah.
because
Like,
you're
you see
seeing
all
you
the
were
stuff
too close?
That's wrong. Like, you see
Yeah.
bugs
Okay.
everywhere, and
Yeah.
like, this line could be different, and this voice is not really matching the hat, and da. And again, if I made a game with cool mechanics, I would play it probably, especially if it was multiplayer, but to share it with people. But a single player narrative game about exploration, kind of, I know all the
That makes
story,
sense.
I know how the narrative ends. I have so little gaming time that I
Yeah.
dedicate to other games.
That makes
sense.
a lot of sense. That was kind of my thinking,
That's what
but
I-
then it's like, do they go back and play?
I know.
these
I know.
things?
Personally, for me, I do all the audio editing and stuff for the pod, and I mean, we record. I have to listen to it when I edit it. After that, I really don't listen anymore. I don't listen to the episodes after that.
Yeah. So, well, listen, Andre, this has been a blast, man. I can't thank you enough for coming on and talking with us. You're a cool guy, man.
Yeah,
So
this
that
is
really
great.
makes it even better to just hang out. I feel like we're hanging out with the bros and just talking games, which is amazing, man. So, really wanted to just say thank you. I mean, not only for coming on the show, but legitimately, this game is awesome.
You guys
dude.
got something
Like, I mean,
good here.
as gamers, like I have to go to work right after this. And it's like, I'm already excited to come home and play again. And there's not a lot of games that give you that feeling, like legitimately. And like Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is that game for me right now. And I know it is, our community is nothing but just sharing, talking about it. I mean, there's something special is what I'm saying. And so thank you guys. Thank everybody. Honestly,
Yeah.
when this is over, just tell people, hey,
Yeah,
love
these
it.
guys, there's
there's
something here.
always someone coming here around with shots and stuff.
I see them occasionally. Yeah.
It's okay. I'll do a big round.
Yes, there you go. So just please tell everybody thank you. But yeah, I mean, what a joy to be able to play this. Honestly, what a joy to be able to talk to you about it as well, man. So thank you so much for your time on this and for hopping on the show.
Okay, no problem.
Awesome.
Thank you for having me. Audentes fortuna juvat.
Dude, I can't tell you how excited we were after this interview. Like, Andre, we're best friends, buddy.
Yeah.
You can come on this show anytime you want. What an amazing guy. What an amazing studio, dude. Warhorse Studios knocking it out of the park, dude.
Out of the park. And for a group that he said is very family-based, family-orientated, he said his wife was in the first Kingdom Come game, and then so like it's just a big like group kind of awesome people that, man, I want to support.
This is like, honestly, you touched on that, dude. This is the kind of developer that we should support. Like,
Yes.
Listen, number one, we're going to do a deep dive, but spoiler, this game's awesome. Like, I get that maybe it's not for everybody. It is a little bit slower paced. It is very like almost lifelike in a way, which normally I'm not into like sim type games, but this one is just resonating with me big time. And I mean, we talk about this, right? Support the devs that are doing right by gamers. Support the devs that have the passion and the care. Support these guys. Pick this game up.
Yes.
I mean, put your money where your mouth is. We've been talking about this for a while, but for them to give their time to just come on the show and chat with us, but then to do it with so much passion and love of the game and gamers, and they know how to approach things. I mean, you heard it in the interview. We cannot just tout this enough. If you want an incredible video game to play, this game is worth the money, but at the same time, support awesome studios at the same time.
Yes. Absolutely. Everything that Josh said, this is one that you definitely should check out.
Yeah. So we will be back with our deep dive in probably another week or two. Like I said, we want to make sure we have enough time on it.
It's a big one.
We hope you enjoyed this episode. We know we did. So, thank you once again to our good buddy Andre. Now, thank you to Warhorse Studios for lending Andre to us for this interview. And, it was just a blast. So that's it for this one. Until next time, happy gaming.
See ya.